The White Sox enter franchise history with losing immortality, while the Cubs' city crosstown showdown was not enough as they go back to their losing ways. Look at me, I can't even do an intro right. The NBA Finals are off and running. Were you surprised by last night's results? We weren't. Also, too, the Blackhawks make a TV change in their booth for next season, and we'll have our Stanley Cup Finals predictions. That and a whole lot more as Second City Sports, the Friday edition, the first one for the month of June, starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled Friday edition of Second City Sports, first one for the month of June. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakina McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and Q's again, IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Ooh, boy, my brain started to make a freeze today, but we'll get through it. And carry on, Lakina, carry on, because the other side's just trying to squeeze my brain right now, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
We can play the White Sox for that sake. Of course.
Thank you. Here we go. Now I got it back. I got it back. We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. Speaking of definite opinions, if you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you, I promise. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I'll give Lakina full powers to give you fools to bail and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in the 11 color right now on Roku TV. That's right. And congratulations to Liam Hendricks and Lucas Giolito, both of the Boston Red Sox, as they were saluted last night. We'll also get to that later. I found something a little interesting about that as well, along with a few other colleagues that pointed this thing out as well. But we'll get to that later. But celebrate the squad to get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on the sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC or your Android, just head up to Google Play Store, download the Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
It will be providing you with some of the best fun here on Second City Sports in the first Friday in June. Of course, you got buddy Terence Tomlin from the Bigs joining us to talk some NBA Finals after Game 1 last night. The Sky and could Warner Bros. Discovery be still in the NBA business? We'll talk to him about that. Of course, our girl Christine Manika later in the next hour from KXRB. She had a Hall of Fame meeting early this morning. She and her hubby. We'll ask her about that in a second. Also, too, of course, we'll give you our Stanley Cup Final predictions. The Blackhawks make a change at the top of the TV booth, and so much more. But first, course, thanks to Bears Twitter for those clips, of course, that's Caleb Williams, as the Bears wrapped up mandatory minicamps, OTAs, however you want to call it. They got about 6 weeks before training camp starts. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about that schedule with our girl Christine in a bit here, but I usually don't make any proclamations or make any kind of like little things one way or another, because to me OTAs, look, you're playing 7-on-7. There's not a lot of like aggressive blitzes or anything like that. So you're basically going on against your own teammates. And I know the defense has been kind of like jarring at Caleb Williams and this and that, particularly Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson. So I guess, look, I know people were kind of freaking out about, oh, well, Caleb struggle. I mean, look, he's only been, practicing for like a couple of weeks. He's going to struggle. So I think people should kind of just chill and just look, if he starts struggling in training camp in a few weeks, then they can start figuring, freaking out and stuff like that. But right now, you just like, look, you're just getting your practices in and getting your reps in, and just, it's all right there.
Remember, folks, these are OTAs. This is not training camp where they're going to go full speed. And this is in the preseason where he's going to get a little tasty taste of what's to come for his upcoming rookie year. Like you said, this is OTAs. Wherever mistakes that he's getting out his system right now, this is what is supposed to happen. Remember, folks, he's a rookie quarterback. He's trying to cram in a lot with this new offense being in the NFL with first year offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. He's trying to get that system down as well. So some people want Caleb Williams to succeed beyond their expectations. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be realistic, folks. He's still a rookie in NFL, and he's practicing against a top 5 defense ranked in the NFL from last season. Like you said, this is not training camp yet where the competition is wrapped up. You practicing full speed with helmets and pads and their jerseys on. So for Caleb Williams to get this out of his system now, this is a good thing, because from what we've been reading and hearing, he's already a hard worker. You like his confidence, you like his potential leadership skills, and he's just taking it all in. It's going to take some time, folks, but for what's going on right now, I have no problem with this. Remember, folks, he's a rookie. In a couple of months, and when the season starts, if he comes out average or above average, that's what's supposed to happen. Even if it comes out struggling like Peyton Manning did in his rookie year in 1998, and eventually he got better as the year went on. That's great too. Remember, folks, I know there's a whole lot of pressure on the Bears to make the playoffs because of the offensive rabbits around Caleb Williams, and the pressures on the defense to become a top 5 defense once again in the NFL. Was last year a facade, or will we see great things upon the horizon, better things from this group coming into 2024? So, what's happening in OTAs right now? I'm not going to get too high. I'm not going to get too low either. This isn't training camp yet. But like you said, if Caleb Williams still struggling with the quote unquote simple things towards the end of training camp, now we have a problem. Right now, I have no issue. I don't.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports. I'm kind of like Keenan McGee sitting down with you. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those days where, look, like I said, I mean, you got a lot of defense kind of jawing, at him. Look, the defense, like, look, you guys, look, it took you a while to become a top 5 defense. So you guys don't have a pass rusher. So I think y'all need to, for all the defensive guys, you got to kind of stop worry about what you're doing, and stop worrying about what look. Don't worry about what Caleb and Doomsday and the rest of the offense is doing right now. So let's make that clear. And I think, look, for me, like I said, I think, look, if like like you said, in a few weeks, if they start playing like this, little lackadaisical, I'm sure they're going to be working out a lot during these next 6 weeks till training camp starts. So I think people could kind of should just kind of like just slow down and just chill on a lot of that front. So it, I'm not gonna put any any emphasis on what happens in the OTAs or anything like that, because look, like you said, you're not doing really anything big. So just for look, just like I said, in a few weeks, if he's still struggling, then fine, we can worry about it. But right now, no, it's just like whatever.
Here's a quote from Caleb Williams, who met with the media a couple of days ago, following up with the OTAs against the veterans. He says, and I quote, "It's pretty awesome. I feel like there's a light at the end of that tunnel. So it's just having that moment with myself. I do it every day. I sit there and say, we're going to be pretty damn good," end quote. So you like the confidence from this young man already. You like the work ethic that you've been hearing and reading about. That he's putting the work in, putting more than what a normal player should. yes, the quarterback, the franchise quarterback of any team is the face of the franchise. And right now, he's off to a good start. But like you said, looking at the struggles and the ins and outs of being a rookie, this is going to continue. Right now, it's OTAs in training camp. If he's not progressing by the time the preseason is over, then we have a problem. But right now, remember, folks, he's practicing against a top five defense. And don't forget, Lakina, I hate using this word, but I'm going to just for conversational purposes only. He's being hazed right now in a controlled environment with the veterans already, just to toughen him up to get him to expect what's going to be like in his rookie year in the NFL coming up anyway. So you think that his own teammates is being quote unquote hard on him now? What do you expect his opponents to be? They're gonna turn up with that pressure, the trash talk, and everything else times 10. So he's getting a taste of it now. So they're gonna tell him, well, expect this plus much worse once the regular season starts.
It'll be interesting. Look, we talked about this. Like I said, I think Jalen Johnson, I think those guys need to kind of just worry about what they're doing before you start worry about what Willis is doing now. Some of the other stuff's going on. They're all over training camp as before we go to break. Of course, Lamar Jackson looks leaner because he wants to be faster, which I don't know if that's possible, but I digress. Justin Jefferson seems to have a nice little rapport with JJ McCarthy with the Vikings. Now he's got this new fresh paper. The 49ers, they just re-signed Juwan Jennings. So they're, I know Brandon Ayuk still, wasn't there, but we'll see if they can kind of work things out there before camp. So a lot of interesting things happening around the NFL and OTAs.
Also, to Jane Daniels, the rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders, putting in that work. I know Dan Quinn had nice things to say about him the other day, and we all know that Washington is still in the rebuild mode right now, and it's going to be a long road back for them. You can say the same thing for the Vikings as well. I know they have veteran backup Sam Darnold. I'm interested to see what Kevin O'Connell how he's gonna play this. He'll go the traditional route, using air quotes here, and start Sam Darnold for the first 4 or 5 games of the year before JJ McCarthy takes over? Or will they throw McCarthy into the fire to start off with? There's interesting dynamics there.
Also, to the Colts, second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson was held out of practice because of right shoulder. Remember, he had surgery on that. So, Shane Stidham said it was more precautionary because remember they did sign Joe Flacco, so they do have a veteran there in case it's Richardson still has problems with his shoulder. So we'll just see what happens down there in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Indianapolis almost made the playoffs last year. I know Gardner Minshew's now the backup quarterback with the Las Vegas Raiders, but they still have a young and talented defense. Remember, Jonathan Taylor, who had a contract hauled out, came into the season in the middle of the season. It did some nice things, but the Colts almost made the playoffs. So the Colts should be a team that you should not look over. Their whole AFC South is going to be a competitive division, probably the best division in football next to the NFC North, in my opinion. So I wouldn't sleep on Indianapolis just yet. You just hope that Anthony Richardson is a little bit more careful. You don't want him to end up like Cam Newton, being beat up for the first few years and then not to stay in the league long as as people think he should, because those injuries are going to catch up to you. We all know that Cam Newton was built like a linebacker, but all those hits that he took in his first few years of his career, technically he's playing right now, wrapping up his career, but all those injuries in his first few years of his career eventually caught up to him. And you don't want to see that with Anthony Richardson.
They're going to be very cautious with that, no doubt. So as we go to break, we're going to have another some more clips from Bears practice. Now, after the break, of course, the Cubs, just when you thought that maybe they had stuff figured out, they go back to their old habits. Last night in Cincy, yeah, and the Sox, well, we don't talk about we'll keep the Sox top to them. It was like said, skin won't crawl. Also to the rest of the MLB, and of course, if we got time, we'll do our NHL predictions for the Stanley Cup Final. And a lot more fun to be had here at Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. The Keen McGee, Cindy Brown, Diamond Talk coming up right after this.
Here, Great American Ballpark.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Friday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to follow yours truly on the social media streets, on the Twitter and the IG, you can do so at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X and Keena Screen on IG.
We have less than 83 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we talk Cubs, White Sox, and the rest of MLB, you could do so by going to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comments section. Look in and we'll get them up on the screen for you.
Here, Great American Ballpark. In the air, left field.
Doesn't see it.
Can't find it, and that one is going to land and be fair. Suzuki will cruise into second. Man.
Best among all qualified pitchers.
Next pitch in there. Got him. Fredo can't believe it. It says something to Adrian Johnson.
If TJ checks the video, he'll see that this is a pretty good pitch. Backdoor curveball. He drops a deuce on the outside corner there.
Suzuki. In the air, left field. Seiya Suzuki puts a charge into that one, and it's gone. Suzuki with a two-run homer, and the Cubs have the lead. Exit velo of 103.9 for Seiya Suzuki.
And those highlights were from Marquee Network. Now, unfortunately for the Cubs, they did lose the opener of a 4-gamer against Cincinnati. You thought that they came back to beat the White Sox twice. Won a walk off by the Palatine. I don't know what I forget. I keep forgetting what they call him. Mike Talman, of course, he's from Palatine. His first walk off. But you thought that maybe the Cubs were starting to kind of figure things out, and then they get the Cubs pitching hits 4 batters for Cincinnati that got the go ahead runs. Of course, they lose. So now they go back to the bad habits. So, Sid, I don't know what to say about this Cubs team. I mean, you thought that, like I said, you thought that maybe they were starting to figure things out, but they go back to the same habits. Bad
Yeah,
habits.
they took advantage of a bad White Sox team and a bad White Sox bullpen as far as that crosstown series is concerned. I'll get on the White Sox in a few minutes, but as far as the Cubs is concerned, last night's game, I don't even blame that bullpen. I do not blame Javier Assad. He did all right in 7 and third innings pitch. I know he gave up 7 hits, but he also struck out 7 as well. So it wasn't about the pitch last night, like it was about that offense. And I know some people want to debate. I know Mike Talkman, who you mentioned, who hit the game winner the other night against the White Sox this past Wednesday, I might add. I know he led off the game last night, but there's a debate on who should be leading up. Is it him? Is it Nico Horner? I think it should be Pete Crow Armstrong personally, because you can get more speed at the top of their line, especially with your offense struggling. You need to create more runs, play hit and run, and get your offense going. That's just my opinion. But last night, it was about that offense. And Dansby Swanson, who's been struggling this year, 0 for 4 last night, including 3 strikeouts. That's not good. I know Seiya Suzuki, we played in the highlight. It was nice to see him show up with the bat. Hopefully he can stay consistent with the glove and stay healthy. So I think hopefully he's trending up in the right direction. But as a team right now, is really been the offense. So we talked about the bullpen 1,000 times, but it's really been that offense is what has been in the dumps with that bullpen.
Yeah, fortunately, 8-4 for the Cubs. Of course, thanks to that 3-run home run by Mr. Eli De La Cruz. So hopefully, the Cubs can win at least 2 of these next 3. I mean, look, I'm not excited to win all 3, but if they can just win 2 of the next 3, maybe get back into it. Now they did benefit from the fact that the Milwaukee has lost 3 in a row, so that helps them a little bit. But they got to take care of business themselves, and they're in part of a schedule we talked about on Monday where they can kind of gain some ground, but they got to be consistent on both. The pitching has been okay, but like you said, the offense has been kind of like the sort of the detriment of this team. Especially after what happened last night.
Yeah, 24 of the 27 games here in the month of June are against sub 500 teams, with the exception of the 3-game series against Milwaukee coming up in a couple of weeks or so. The Cubs got to make hay here. This week they're 2-1, and like you said, I don't think it's unrealistic expectation to take 2 out of the next 3. I know Justice Steele is going tonight for the Cubs, so he had a great last outing before the Cubs lost that game in his start. So the Cubs, they better get it going here. You got to be creative, be aggressive on offense. So that's the bottom line.
Going to the South Side, much to Sid's chagrin. They lose a tough one to the rest. Well, after losing those tough 2 games against the Cubs at Wrigley, they come back home across town. You're still at home, John Schriffen. It's not. You were only a few miles up north. That's all you had to. I digress. But unfortunately, 14-2, they lose to the Red Sox, and they're just setting records for all the wrong reasons. Sid, unfortunately. I mean, you thought that, like I said, they went to a little stretch, about this time last month. You thought that, okay, maybe the Sox aren't going to be as bad as we thought they were going to be. Well, 24 hits they gave up, Sox pitching, and then there was all the other weirdness that happened. So, yes, let's just get the Sox part over with so we can kind of move on to the rest of the league this week.
Yeah, we all know what happened in the Crosstown series. I'm not going to get too upset with that, but Pedro Grifol saying after Wednesday's game that he likes managing one-run games, and Ozzie gave it to him on the post-game show on NBC Sports Chicago, along with Frank Thomas. Pedro, you like managing one-run games? Here's an idea. Start winning most of them. Isn't that a good concept, Lakito? Maybe. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, it was kind of just a just so a lot of awareness going on. I know I saw that if you read the Athletics Ken Rosenthal saying that Grafal's in the hot seat. I mean, well, duh. I mean, I think that's not really goes without saying. I don't know if Reinsdorf's going to make a move this early in the season. We know Grafal's basically dead manager walking, as they say. So I'm not too worried about that. I mean, the White Sox just there's really what more can you say? I don't think there's anything you can say about you got okay, yeah, Paul DeJong's been okay, Corey Lee's been pretty good, but it's just a lot of stuff around it. I mean, we know Tommy Pham, I know he's on the IL right now, but you got to think he's going to be gone perhaps before the trade deadline. Crochet might be gone. I know San Diego, there's rumors that maybe San Diego might be interested in him. Fetty might be on his way out as well. So there's like a lot of stuff that's like stuff off the field is really what's really something to watch for if you're a White Sox fan at this point.
If we know that Pedro Grafal is a manager DOA, can you honestly make the case for me to make the case for the White Sox to keep him right now? You have the longest losing streak in franchise history that was almost 100 years old. What can you tell me an actual reason that you can keep him right now? Because remember, the draft rules for MLB has changed. So if you lose over 100 games, you're not getting the number one pick anymore. So just tanking and losing, it doesn't do you any good. Can you give me a reason that why Pedro Grafal should be here right now? Because in Reinsdorf cannot say that he now on the record he has not fired the manager in season, but he has made personnel changes in mid-season, i.e., last year when Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams got shown the door after the trade deadline. So Reinsdorf can say he hasn't made any moves during the season. He did that last year, not managerial, but in the front office. Now rewind to right now. Give me an actual reason why Pedro Grafal should keep his job right now.
Well, just for that reason, maybe. Yeah, I'll say, yeah. I mean, look, 1923, I think that was like the last time that I guess like the record for most losses, in a row. Shout out to our buddies at GN Sports for that little stat from last night. Yeah. Let's move right along because this whole team's making my skin crawl. Let's talk about the rest of the MLB, the Second City Sports and Sports with Chicago, Keenan McGee, Steve Brown with you now. The Yankees swept the Twins. They're getting it going. I know Juan Soto, of course, suffered a sore forearm, so hopefully, I know Aaron Boone's going to want to try to be cautious with that, with their big battle against the Dodgers coming up starting tonight. But I think if you're the Yankees, you shouldn't be too worried. But at the same time, though, like Soto, you want to kind of be a little bit cautious with him. So don't be surprised if he doesn't play in that Dodgers series this weekend. But a nice little role the Yankees are on in so far.
Yeah, it would suck if Juan Soto doesn't play in this weekend series against the Dodgers. They'll be terrible. But like you said, this is the Yankees looking at him, protecting himself from himself for the long haul. So that's what's most important. But as I said before, like throughout the season, I'll say it again. Juan Soto is a generational hitter in MLB, and he makes that Yankees offense go. I know Aaron Judge has picked it up over the last month or so. Giancarlo Stanton starting to pick it up as well. Both those guys got to stay healthy. Yes, if one of those guys go out, Juan Soto can carry a team offensively. But if all three of those guys stay healthy together, this is what you get. Now, let's not talk about that starting pitching side, Lakina. Carlos Rodon is coming through. Luis Gil should be your AL representative, your starting pitcher in the All-Star game next month. The rookie pitcher, he's come out of nowhere. They're making you forget about Garrett Cole, who's been out since spring training. So the Yankees have it going on right now. It's just about them being consistent. They've been consistent so far, and I don't see nobody stopping them, at least in the American League, anytime soon. I'm not saying they're gonna run away from Baltimore and win the AL East by 10, 20 games. Technically, it's possible. I don't see that happening. But they're playing very well right now, and it's very hard to beat them at their own game. So Baltimore and the rest of that AL East has their work cut out for them.
Speaking of Luis Gil, he's pitched at least 6 innings in his starts and has allowed one or fewer runs in 6 straight games. Only the only MLB rookie to do that since 1901 with a longer streak is Fernando Valenzuela all the way back in 1981 with the Dodgers. Yeah, aforementioned Dodgers. He did it for 7 straight, so we'll see if he can do it next week. Now the Dodgers will miss him in that start on for this weekend series. Now, speaking of Baltimore, they look, I think Baltimore's been okay. Like I said, it's really hard to. They actually lost their series. They split their series, I should say, against the Blue Jays. So they kind of were even there. But I'm not too worried about Baltimore right now. I think they're still trying to figure things out. And look, I think the Blue Jays kind of needed that series more than they did.
Yeah, we know that Toronto's struggling right now around this time next month. If they don't turn it around, talking about Toronto, I think you'll look at a fire sale from the Blue Jays there. Or with Baltimore, we know the names about their offensive stars. It's all about their starting pitching. It looks like it's starting to come around a little bit. We know about their bullpen led by veteran closer Craig Kimbrell. So I want to see Baltimore starting pitching continue to be consistent. It's finally starting to come around because we all know that offense any offense that's dynamite and talented like that can go in the funk. You need that starting pitching just to keep you in the ball game.
That's definitely going to be the key now going into the AL Central. The Guardians, they split their series against the opponent of the Rain. But the Guardians, like I said, I don't think anybody's running away and hiding in that division. So between them and the Royals are trying to keep up.
This series really didn't tell anything that I already didn't know about these two teams. I know, like I said, I'm waiting to see how Kansas City fares out. Talk to me at the end of this month, and I'll let you know if they're a real serious contender for a playoff spot or not. Cleveland, I know they've been missing Stephen Kwan, their leadoff hitter for the last couple weeks. Their pitching has been okay, but it's really been their offense has really carried them. We talked about Josh Naylor, we talked about Andres Jimenez, but it's been Jose Ramirez. I told you once, and I'll say it 1,000 times, he's a top 3 AL MVP candidate in my book.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting there. Now, going into the AL East, the Mariners went 2 out of 3 against the A's. So you guys, you know how I feel about this Mariners team. Their bullpen has been really good. They're getting better, which is pretty solid. So they're just doing what they're supposed to. They're taking care of business.
Yeah, and hopefully their starting pitching continues to be consistent. We talked about their series last weekend at home against the LA Angels. They got 2 amazing starts from Luis Castillo. And I forgot the other one is escaped. His name's escaped me. Who won last Saturday night? But it's been their problem. Talking about their starting pitching over the last couple of years, and also too, Julio Rodriguez has been struggling at the plate coming out of the gate this year. He still can bring it defensively in center field, but hopefully his bat turns around quickly.
Yeah, we'll see. They can kind of keep up with the Mariners. Now the Rangers, you thought that maybe they were starting to kind of get it going there, maybe perhaps maybe keep up with that. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. They did win their rubber match yesterday. Keep from getting swept 9-1. What do you think? Can the Rangers get it back going?
They need a couple of bodies back in terms of pitchers. I know that Max Scherzer threw a simulated game the other day, so he's still a ways away from coming back. They need some more help with the back end of their starting rotation. As we talked about before, they have the offensive talent to do it, but it's been about their pitcher, and they've been dead last next to the White Sox in terms of walks and ERA in the American League. So they need healthy bodies, especially in that starting rotation, to help them bring them out of this funk.
Yeah, one of our buddy Brandon Schutz is on here. His Astros actually did win 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, so that definitely helped them with their confidence. But they're still 7.5 back in the AL West.
Yeah, I forgot one. I think it was Christian Javier who has who's going to have Tommy John surgery. So good luck with him with his rehab. We talked about their whole starting rotation, talking about the Astros being on the injury list at least once to start out the year. I know Justin Verlander has been back for a few weeks now, but their offense, just like last year, and they need to carry them, need to rely on them. You still have Jose Altuve. You still have future AL MVP in my mind, Kyle Tucker. He was starting to heat up a little bit. And Jose Abreu, historically, the months of June and July has been his months to heat up at the plate. They need him to do it and do it now.
Yeah, they definitely need to get it going and quick. And I go into the NL. The Phillies did the Cubs a little bit of a favor. They swept the Brewers. Thank you, Phillies. So that they've been doing it right with their hitting and their pitching. And Aaron Nola had a gem, 7 scoreless innings in that rubber match to complete the sweep. So on Wednesday, so yeah, I mean they're starting to kind of they had a little bit of a bump a couple weeks ago, but they're starting to get it back going again.
Yeah, just like I said about the Yankees a few moments ago, Philadelphia's playing with way more confidence. They're finding ways to win ball games, and it sets up nice for them as they go to London to take on the New York Mets in that 2-game series in London starting tomorrow.
That game will be on Fox. I think most of the nation will get that at noon. We'll get to the schedule in a second. Atlanta, they did win their first game of the 4-gamer against the Nats. They did split their 2-gamer against the Red Sox. So, but if I know they're still trying to kind of figure things out with the Acuna injury, so hopefully can kind of get it going.
Yeah, hopefully their starting pitching and can turn it up a notch as well. We know about Spencer Strider being out for the year. Chris Sale was rotten in his last start, but they got to everybody else with that lineup on offense got to step up and fill in the shoes of Ronald Acuna Jr., which will be tough to do, but the offense is going to have to step up.
Yeah, they'll go into the NL West. The Dodgers, I mean, okay, yeah, they lost 2 out of 3 against the Pirates, and let's do the monthly. Get rid of Dave Roberts tweets from Dodgers fans. You're still 8.5 up in the division, folks. So let's chill. But yeah, I mean, look, they're not going to win every series. I feel like we say this like every few weeks when this happens. So, but I'm not worried about the Dodgers. Like I said, the good thing is that no one else in that division seems to want to catch up with them. So they seem to be in good shape still.
Did you check out that home run by Shohei Ohtani on Tuesday off of
Yeah.
rookie pitcher Paul Skeens? Oh, that was tremendous. And I know that was a long highlight for the Dodgers as they lost that second game of their series. Paul Skeens is going to be very good for Pittsburgh. I'm just worried about him. Look, I mean, fastballs, he throws over 95 miles an hour. Hopefully he doesn't have any arm injuries soon. I'm just saying. I know he's a rookie. He's trying to figure things out, but hopefully someone on that Pittsburgh staff say, hey, be more selective. These type of pitches you throw in these types of situations. It's just to keep throwing fastballs, you burn your arm out. It is unfortunately it's going to be trouble. I'm not rooting for him to be injured. I'm not, but I'm kind of this may be a pessimist in me. But remember what we saw in Kerry Wood back in 1998. Yep. He said himself years later he felt some major pain in that elbow after that 20 strikeout game. He had a good rookie year in 1998, helping the Cubs get into the playoffs, but he missed that next year for Tommy John surgery. I just hope it doesn't happen to Paul Skeens. I'm just saying.
Yeah. His pitching kind of makes my arm hurt, and that's saying something. So yeah, I'm a little worried about that because I felt the same way about Wood too. I'm like, oh boy, this isn't good. And sure enough, a year later, he is having Tommy John. It wasn't the same since. Hopefully, that's not the case with him with Scheme. So we'll see what happens there. Now, the Padres. Just we thought that maybe the Padres. Unfortunately, I guess they can't play the Dodgers every day because they've now have lost 5 of their last 7. And they got swept by the Angels and lose their opener against the D-bats. So you thought that maybe they were starting to figure it out, but they haven't, I guess.
They're consistently inconsistent. That's all I can say about them.
Slightly better version of the Cubs, I guess, if you want to use that analogy. Let's go into this weekend's series, Sid. Here we go. Of course, Milwaukee. We'll see if they can get it back going against Detroit. The first game. Well, this is actually the second game of the Apple TV. Well, the first game of the Apple TV Plus. Pittsburgh. They host Minnesota. Atlanta and Washington. Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Sorry for all you Dodgers, Yankees fans in Los Angeles and New York. The first game of that 3-gamer. Will be on Apple TV Plus. Really, MLB? Come on, really? But I digress. Cubs and Red Sox, of course. The second game, hopefully the Cubs can get it going. And Cleveland and Miami, they start off their series.
Boston and Chicago will continue their series in the American League on the South Side. San Francisco will visit the Texas Rangers. Seattle Mariners will visit Kansas City. Colorado will continue their 4-game weekend series. They'll visit St. Louis. Houston will visit Los Angeles to take on the Angels. Arizona visits San Diego. And Toronto will play the Oakland Athletics.
All right, your national from London, Philadelphia, and the Mets. That'll be 12:10. That's the Fox game of the Fox of doubleheader now. In the primetime game, you got the Guardians and the Marlins at 6:35. Now, of course, most nation will get the Dodgers and the Yankees. That's the same game on the regional coverage. San Francisco and Texas, the last game over there will be on Roku TV. The Mets and Phillies, that's the second game of the 2-gamer in London. That'll be at 9 a.m. on ESPN. And of course, your Sunday nighter will be the last game of the Dodgers-Yankees series.
And that's your schedule for MLB for this weekend, for the weekend in professional baseball. Stay tuned for more sports and more fun as Second City Sports, the Friday Fun Edition, continues with Terence Tomlin from It's the Bigs Media and Miss Christine the Queen Manika. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Friday Fun Edition for hour number this. We kick off hour number 2. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kenny McGee on the Twitter, X, and again the IG.
We have less than an hour left of this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show. If you have any questions or comments for us, especially for our next guest, as we talk NBA Finals and more, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in living color right now on Roku TV.
All right, so while we're waiting for Terrence, I'm sure he'll be joining us in a couple minutes. Now, let's recap game one, 107-89. The Celtics beat the Mavs. It was pretty much all, I don't want to say, yeah, you could probably say it was pretty much all Celtics from jump, I guess. I know Dallas got down to 8, but, they got the big shots from Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and just a nice, really good, they were just shooting. And also, too, Mr. Kristaps Porzingis, for his first game back, I think with 38 games he missed. So just an amazing feat that he was able to do last night, 20 points off the bench.
Yeah, 20 points in 21 minutes. I wasn't too surprised with what kind of impact that Porzingis made in the game last night. As we said on our last show on Monday, Lakina, he wasn't going to start. It was going to take him at least 2 or 3 games to get his conditioning back in terms of being in basketball shape. He had the most points off the bench for the Celtics last night. The Celtics overall had 6 players in double figures. Jason Tatum, yes, he only had 16 points, but Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, was the MVP for the Celtics. He did it all on defense and on offense.
Yeah, let's talk more about that with our buddy he's one of the co-founders from the Bigs. And of course, he talks, hoops. We've had him on many times. We're glad to have him back on Talks NBA Finals and so much more. He is Mr. Terence Tomlin. Yay!
T-Tom, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
We're doing great. How about yourself?
Good.
Man, I'm loving this this early part of June. It's my birthday month, so it's rare you catch me in a bad mood.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Love.
All right, as we were saying right before you came on, you just talked about that. So were you surprised what happened in game 1 yesterday?
No, I wasn't surprised about the outcome in game 1. It looked, a lot like a lot of the playoff games throughout this playoffs where a team gets a big lead early in the game. The team that goes down early puts up a decent fight until the team that wins go ahead and stretches it out in the late third and fourth quarter. But I honestly think that I'm one of the ones that picked Boston to win this series. I think that they are the better team. I think that they're going to continue to give Dallas problems. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 6 or 7 game series. But I think that this is Boston's series to lose.
On the flip side, Terrence, for the record, I had Boston in 7, so I'm looking good right now. But I'm with you. I think it's going to be a long series. But on the flip side for Dallas, Luka leads the team again in scoring. But you can give credit, in my opinion, from last night. You can give credit a little bit to Boston's defense, but I thought that Luka, and especially in the first quarter, he was trying to force the issue, settling for jump shots along with Kyrie, but they didn't take it to the hole until they got it down to 8 or 9 points late in that third quarter. But what did you think about the Dallas Mavericks offensively outside of that stretch to where they got it to under single digits late in that third quarter? I thought it was horrendous last night.
Absolutely. Exactly what I think. Dallas has a tendency to kind of rely on that jump shot when it's not falling in early. But, man, they're truly, truly lethal when they're getting to the rim and having defenders on skates and things like that. And, I also think they were thrown off by the addition of Porzingis on the other side last night. It was an addition that I don't think they were, ready for. And in turn, kind of, they looked really sloppy and out of sync all game, really.
Now, what about Kyrie? Kyrie probably had maybe his worst showing of any NBA Finals game. You think he can bounce back in game 2 on Sunday?
I definitely think Kyrie could bounce back, but he's one of those guys that has one of the guys in this series that has probably the most pressure on him. We know all of the history with him in Boston and the bad juju that's in the building when he's there. So I feel like he's fighting against a few more things and not just the Boston Celtics. You feel me? He's fighting against his time there, the crowd, his personal emotions, whether he, tries to spin it or not. he's only human, and we can only imagine, what's going through his head when he's in that building. I'm sure he wants to really stick it to him, but he has to let the game come to him, and so that he can do what he does best. And when the game is coming naturally to him, he's shown he's one of those ones,
Yep. I think Dallas will play better on Sunday. And the question is, will they play well enough to win game 2? We shall see with this extra day out between games 1 and 2. I want to flip it back over to the Boston Celtics, T, and get your thoughts about Jason Tatum. We all know he's a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA. There's one camp that says that he should be that quote unquote alpha dog like Kobe Bryant, and totally dominate and average 35 to 40 a game. And there are ones just like yours truly on the other side. Is like, hey, we all know what he can do, but he can only do so much. Where do you fit in that category with Jason Tatum? Because I think a criticism of him sometimes I think is unfair. It's only so much he can do, and let's not forget, folks, he has a better team around than he did a couple years ago when he reached his summit against Golden State.
And that's really the biggest thing, in my opinion. Sid, the team that's around him right now is by far the best team he's had since he's been in this league. I think a couple of years ago, he fell into that mindset of trying to be Kobe. I feel like he was really embracing that approach to the game, and the fruits were, weren't what he wanted them to be. So you bring over a guy like Drew Holiday. You got Porzingis now. Jaylen Brown has continued to evolve. If you're Jason Tatum, the pressure is really off. And now, when you're not clicking on all cylinders, now you don't have to force the issue. Now you can lean on your teammates and really make winning plays, affect the games and other kind of ways, which is what he did last night. And if you're Dallas, you got to be petrified that on a night that Jason Tatum is pedestrian, that you got beat the way you did. So you got to tip your cap to Boston and my boy Mazzulla over there, because he's really, taking this team from a lot of controversy, a lot of talk, for the wrong reasons around this team early on in this season, the last season, to really looking like the best team in the NBA this year.
Talking to our buddy Terence Tomlin from the Bigs here on Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Keenan McGee, Cindy Brown with you. Terrence, let's go to the other side, talk Dallas. I mean, we know Luka, even though he still, was Luka, even though, the Celtics kind of dominated that game. Kyrie, like I said, he had his struggles. Who else on the team? Like your PJ Washingtons, your Derrick Jones Jr., your Tim Hardaway Jr. Who on the other side, outside of those, the main two, have to step up in game 2 to try to get back in this series for the Mavs?
It's going to be a big game for the others, like Derek Lively, the impressive rookie. Derrick Jones Jr., we're familiar with him from his time in Chicago. They're getting asked to do some things that they haven't been asked to do so far, which is they got to sit on that perimeter and guard these bigs that the Celtics have, which can, if you leave them open, they're killing you from 3. So, guys like that really, the Mavericks have been fueled by what they're able to do on the boards and by the basket and things like that. Now getting pulled away from it, I really think that we're going to see the Mavericks struggle a little bit, in this series. It's, just a bad matchup for them, honestly, with how their bigs go, because their bigs have kind of been the X factor all the way through the playoffs until now, where I'm looking at the Celtics like, well, now you guys got to guard the perimeter and hope somebody else can be big on the boards. And if they can find a way to get Derek Lively back down there and get offensive rebounds and second chance shots and things like that, second chance opportunities, then you're talking about getting this series to 7 games. But if that doesn't happen, the Celtics could possibly dominate all the way to a championship.
You mentioned Joe Mazzulla earlier, Terrence, and of course, on paper, on the flip side, Jason Kidd, the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, because of his experience, not only as a player, but he's done very well in his coaching career as of late. Talk to us about him having an advantage over Joe Mazzulla and what his experience will bring in this series to get the Mavs over to win this championship.
Well, Jason Kidd, has done an amazing job all year and really shined throughout the playoffs, I feel. Just as, Jason Kidd's leadership ability and experience, and, with getting the team over the hump in the finals, a team that, is not really, didn't really have the expectations to bring home a championship. I see a lot of similarities in this Dallas Mavericks team to the one that he won a championship with. But it's going to be about keeping composure. I think more than anything, finding opportunities for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving to be themselves is going to be key for Jason Kidd versus a bigger team over there in Boston, a team that's just as skilled with the ball in their hands. So Jason Kidd has his work cut out for him. And if if his team is able to pull this one off, then I'm honest, you got to really give Jason Kidd credit for the work that he's put in. It's really been amazing because he's kind of flown under the radar. When he got the job, it was a lot of pushback that he didn't deserve it. But the way he's brought the best out of guys like Luka and now Kyrie, you really got to understand that Jason Kidd is one of the best coaches in the league right now.
Definitely. Al Horford's an interesting story here because, of course, we know his career in Florida. He won 2 championships there. He's been close a couple of times for a championship. Now, do you think this will definitely add to his Hall of Fame legacy, if you will, if the Celtics do end up pulling this off?
I honestly always trip out when I'm, watching Al Horford because you take a trip down memory lane. Like this man played with Joakim Noah and Billy Donovan at Florida, and he's still putting up meaningful minutes for the Celtics. It's just one of the best displays of longevity that we've seen in this era. He's kept his body in tip-top shape, and again, he's truly impacting the game from the 3-point line. You look up and he has 4 or 5 threes, and you wondering how he even let that happen. He's still as crafty as he was when he was young. And I love when the older guys, find different ways to or different areas of their game to improve and are able to extend their careers because of it. As deadly as he is from that corner and around that 3-point line, I definitely feel like he's a Hall of Famer. Definitely feel like if he gets a ring, then he may bow out. But if he feels good, why stop the train now? You know what I mean? Let's keep it going, Al Horford.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're talking with that guy Terence Tomlin from It's the Bigs Media right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid LaKina hang out here with you. Let's continue the basketball talk, T, and let's go to the Chicago Bulls. I think the last time we had you on was before the season started, and of course, fast forwarding to now, the Bulls have been were eliminated by the Miami Heat again in the play-in tournament. It's been 2 years since the Bulls actually played in the playoff game. In your view, what does the future holds for this Chicago Bulls team? Zach LaVine is injured. DeMar DeRozan is a free agent. I think because we all know about the salary cap penalty tax is going to kick in this summer. If the Bulls resign everybody for next year, they're going to be $1 million over the salary cap. And there's no way, that's going to happen under Jerry Reinsdorf. So who stays and who goes?
Hopefully everybody goes, and that's no knock on the players that they have right now. But in all seriousness, until the management, the guys in charge of the Bulls, actually, have some hard evidence of wanting to be anything more than a mediocre team, then that's where my expectations are going to stay. I feel like this is a situation where you need to strip it down as hard as you can. And build through the draft and possibly free agency. But at this point, the stadium stays filled. They were number 1 in attendance last year. So really the ownership over there for the Bulls have zero incentive to do anything more than what they're doing. So Arturas Karnisovas is, going to enter this offseason, probably pay DeMar DeRozan. We'll see what he does with Patrick Williams. He's probably going to trade Zach LaVine, which at this point, I'm not sure what the return would be for a player like Zach LaVine, who's been injured as much as he has, and done is, the least amount of winning. So the Bulls are really in a terrible spot, in my opinion. This is what basketball hell feels like, and I don't know which way is up for them. It's not one move that can really kind of change where this team is. I feel like unless they're willing to bottom out and end up at the top of next year's draft, and maybe the next couple of drafts like the Blackhawks have done, then there's no reason why we should take the Bulls serious. They'll be in that play-in area. They may drop out of the play-in area and just be a lottery team or whatever. But I'm totally off the Bulls bandwagon until they show me something. There's so many better things to do with your time. But at a glance, this is a team with a whole bunch of problems, guys. Like, this is a team with a mountain of issues that I don't know if they even are worried about addressing them.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the team on the West Side. Let's stay with the NBA and go to the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. We all thought that JJ Redick was going to have that job as the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. Dan Hurley from the University of Connecticut has stepped in last minute. He's actually meeting with the Lakers today. So do you think it's Dan Hurley's job to lose now, or do you think that JJ Redick is going to come out as the new head coach of the Lakers and Coach LeBron, assuming for the next 2 or 3 years?
I'm not mad at the Dan Hurley news. I feel like the thought of JJ Redick, being a head coach left me scratching my head a little bit. He didn't have the experience as a guy like Sam Cassell, who was also in running for that job. But you know how the league goes. I was hoping, somebody like Sam Cassell would get it, somebody who's earned their stripes as an assistant coach in this league. But I can't be mad at a guy like Dan, who has a program over there at Connecticut that's running like a well-oiled machine right now. And I know those are the guys that get the opportunities in the league. How much success they have is a whole nother story. But if it was between JJ Redick and Dan Hurley, I'd probably have to go with Dan Hurley.
Just imagine if he does get it, LeBron misses an assignment. I mean, he's gonna, LeBron's gonna look at him like he's crazy. And we know, AT's got the eyebrow arch. So I don't know that this might not work. But I digress.
Yeah,
now
they probably gonna be recording podcasts at halftime. I don't know what JJ Redick has in store as a basketball coach. I like him as an announcer. I wouldn't be mad at an assistant coaching position for JJ Redick, because he was coached by some of the best coaches that we've seen. We all know his history at Duke. He really fought for what he became in the league. He didn't start that way. It was a moment when JJ Redick, I believe it was. Did he start out on Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
It was a time. It was a moment in his career. It was like, okay, how is this guy gonna fit in the league? And he really kind of pushed himself and grew his game into being a reliable, active three-point shooter coming off those screens. He was a problem for a while. So I got respect for JJ Redick, but head coach, I'm not sure if that title fits him just yet.
Now, the NBA draft combine commenced a couple of weeks ago. We saw some guys decided that they wanted to stay. Hunter Dickerson, he pulled out. Mark Sears pulled out. Coleman Hawkins is an interesting guy here, because he's not going to be able to go back to Illinois. He still has 1 year eligibility left. He's going to have a lot of schools vying for his services. So, Terence, where do you think he goes?
You know what? I'm hoping that he stays in Illinois. And I really, hate what I can't say I hate what the portal has done, but I honestly lean on you guys for that prediction. I wish I knew where he was going to land, because the portal really is unpredictable. It's unpredictable, but I'm sure he's looking for a situation where the ball's going to be in his hands as much as possible.
Right. We're heading down the home stretch with that guy, Terence Tomlin from It's the Bigs Media. He's hanging out here with us right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago on the Friday Fun edition. Sid Lakina hanging out here with you. Let's stay with basketball. Terrence, let's go over to the WNBA. We all know that this season is about Caitlin Clark, and of course, she got fouled very hard last Saturday against the Chicago Sky. Kennedy Carter pushed her. Me personally, I thought it was a little bit of a flop at the end there, but you can take it here or there. Of course, Angel Reese has been a difference maker for the Chicago Sky. Camila Cardoso, she's still working her way back into basketball shape. I like the way the Sky is playing. I know they had a big win last night at Washington in Angel Reese's return home. They're 4-5 on the season. What do you think about the Sky overall this season? What did you think about that whole hard foul against Caitlin Clark last Saturday afternoon?
This has been probably one of the most entertaining stretches of Chicago Sky basketball in a while. And not just because of the foul. They are playing much better basketball this season than they were last year around this time. And of course, Angel Reese has been a great addition to the team, both on the court and off. She's been a ball to watch, especially on the boards. It feels like she gets every single rebound out there. But of course, what made all the news over the past few days is that foul from Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. I felt like watching it as a fan, it probably should have been called a flagrant out the gate, probably a flagrant one, and we could have moved on. But I feel like the reaction from the fans after it, man, was a sad moment for sports. I thought that it would be a welcome moment for people who like physical basketball. We've seen physical basketball and cheered it on for so many years and have talked about how much we've missed it over there in the men's game. And if you've paid attention to women basketball from even on a collegiate level over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been very entertaining. It's been very physical. It's been very old school. And we got a taste of it in that moment with Kennedy Carter. And I feel like the loudest group were the ones who haven't been watching the WNBA over the last few years, don't really have a real interest in women's basketball as a whole, more of a Caitlin Clark kind of thing. That condition that I call it, one of the LeBron conditions where player or fans are cheering more for the player than they are for teams and things like that. Caitlin Clark definitely has that dynamic. And honestly, I feel like everybody needs to take a second to chill and understand what this actually is. These women are some of the best athletes in the world. The WNBA is one of the most competitive leagues in professional sports, and they go hard. You know what I mean? They dogs out there, and they don't really need us coddling them and protecting them. It's almost kind of insulting some of the things I've heard about the competitive spirit that these women should have in regards to going up against Caitlin Clark. They're like, oh, she's the golden goose and all of this. If I'm Caitlin Clark, I would be offended. I would have had to say something by now that I don't need to to be protected and coddled. I'm a competitor just like the rest of these ladies, and they're going to go hard. We heard Angel Reese say it after she got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas. I really wish Caitlin Clark would face some of the music, because she does have, that privilege, and she does have that platform. And I'm interested to see if she's going to start using it, because I feel like when she doesn't, she kind of leaves her counterparts out to dry a little bit, and they get accused of hating, and they get accused of being jealous, and all of that has really taken on a life of its own. We saw the ambush on Kennedy Carter when they arrived in Washington, and all of that is just really, 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 really extra and can be avoided with some people. I'm wondering, where are the people that understand how to deal with this chaos? I don't think the Sky's PR is doing, their players any justice, their head coach any justice. You got the Indiana Fever's PR or play-by-play announcer coming on Twitter and acting like Caitlin Clark is out there getting assaulted. It's just a real shit show. Excuse me. But as a fan of the women's game, I love how it's growing. I love that it's been a topic every day. I've enjoyed being part of the discourse. I've enjoyed being part of the debates. I've enjoyed calling people out, all of it. So I'm looking forward to a fun rest of the year for the Chicago Sky.
Well, and to you and Eugene McIntosh's credit, you guys have been, covering the Sky since you guys formed. So I want to give you guys a shout out there, and also to you got a great game coming up tonight on Ion. If you got Ion on your TV and cable and satellite and streaming system, of course you got the Seattle Storm and the two-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces. Of course, you got Skylar Diggins Smith, Jewel Lloyd for the Storm, and then you have, of course, Kelsey Plum and the queen of the WNBA so far, Miss Asia Wilson. I think she came the first to have 30 points. I think 5+ rebounds and 5+ assists in one game. So yeah, you have a great game going on tonight, folks. So if you want to watch the WNBA action, check that out on Ion.
Absolutely. And Asia Wilson has been out there putting on a show every single night. She done found a way to take her game to another level, and it's just must-see TV right now. Asia Wilson is doing the thing right now.
Last question for me, Terrence. Terrence, we had, as I mentioned earlier, the last time we had you on was back in October with our NBA season preview show, and we talked about how baseball was still going through some of their TV contracts with Bally Sports, and the NBA was pretty much set, with the exception of the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns. Both of those teams had most of their games on over-the-air TV. And you said to us at the time that you wish the Bulls would have some of the games back on WGN, WCIU. I don't know if you caught the article the other day in the Chicago Tribune, but by Julia Poe, but with the new network coming this fall for the Bulls, Blackhawks, and White Sox, it's not official yet, but we don't know how many games are going to be on GN or WCIU if this new network decide to go that route, or if they decide to go full on the traditional cable. We don't know yet, but give us your initial thoughts about this new network that's coming this fall. If you're actually hopeful that at least, if not the majority of the games, or some of the games will be available for the over-the-air TV consumption.
I feel like every few years, every 5 to 10 years, they find a new home. I remember the Comcast Sportsnet days, and like you said, back when WGN had a bulk of the games at WCIU, it just felt good. It felt like Chicago. I'm definitely hoping that local television finds a way to get back into the fold with some of these, sports TV deals. I really have enjoyed the Sky being on WCIU from time to time when they're not on marquee. It kind of gives you that nostalgic feel of sports, being on local television and not, cable or streaming. But when it comes to this deal, I'm excited to see what they, how much different it's going to be from NBC Sports. I know that they're probably going to try to mimic what they were doing over there. We're going to see a lot of the same people that were involved with the pre and post games over there. But I'm interested to see if these games are going to be streaming a little bit easier than they were. Back when I was, before I started the Bigs, I spent a lot of time streaming games on NBC Sportsnet website, and then their app, and then the My Teams app and things like that. I would love to see him just be able to press a button on my TV, be like, oh yeah, the Bulls, I can go to streaming and catch that. But until then, Sid, count me into one of the, into the group that's wanting to see them back on WGN occasionally, maybe for an obscure, one of the lower level games, them versus the Charlotte Hornets or something like that. But I think that local programming, it would go a long way to help them. Like WCIU, I'm sure they could use the eyes over there. You know what I mean? So if I like what they're doing with the Sky, and they've been able to get a couple of games over there. I would love to see them kind of, do more in sports, which would kind of kind of poke the bear a little bit. Hey, we got some sports programming over here. Let's bring some live sports, even if it's more high school sports. But yeah, man, the Bulls belong on WGN, just like the Cubs.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. I feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
Terence, thank you so much for joining us today, as usual. Where people can find all your great content with you, Eugene, and all the guys, and Herb Howard, of course. You're all friends of the show. All the stuff you guys do over at the Bigs.
Yes. It's so much going on. We have a new reporter on the squad, David Moses, who's holding down the Sky Beat for us. You can find a lot of that coverage on our Instagram page at It's the Bigs on Instagram. And then, of course, with the Bears season coming up and everything going on with the Cubs and White Sox, if you can take the pain that they're dishing out right now, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. It's the Bigs and the Bigs TV. We truly appreciate all the love from you guys that you've given us over the years. It means so much to us as we get closer and closer to our 10th year in the industry next year. So looking forward to a bunch of things we have in store. And I always love coming to talk to you guys. So thank you so much.
We love having you guys on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terence. Yeah.
For sure.
No, go ahead, Sid. All right. Thanks, Terence.
All right. Must continue success, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Y'all enjoy the weekend.
All right. You too. Stay safe.
Oh, you too.
All right now.
All right. That is Mr. Terence Tomlin from the Bigs Media. Of course, we got our girl Christine Manika on deck. She had a Hall of Fame meeting today on her radio station at KXRB. So we're gonna have to talk about that. Of course, talk some sports, media news, and so much more. Lakita McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Cell Chicago. Our girl Christine Manika from KXRB coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on this Friday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Makina McGee on the Twitter, X, again, the IG.
This is our last break of the show for today and for the week. So if you have any last minute questions or comments in the comments section, you can please go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, about this time, just about every Friday, we have a lot to discuss with her, so let's get right to her. She is our girl, your girl, Miss Christine, the Queen, Manika, KXRB. What's up, Christine?
Yay!
Happy Friday, guys. We're doing good. How are you?
We're doing good.
We're doing great.
You posted something earlier on Twitter that got a buzzing. You had a Hall of Fame meeting. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that was yesterday night. It's a great benefit. Number one, it's called the Legends, and here in the Sioux Empire, the event supports kids camps, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, stuff like that, to make sure that kids who not necessarily have grown up with the best situation have the opportunity to go to camp and just be a kid, enjoy sports, enjoy the organized chaos, as I like to call it, during my sports days. And they bring in a legend every single year, different athletes, whether it's baseball, basketball, and this year for the 25th anniversary of the Legends, it just happened to be Hall of Famer linebacker Brian Urlacher, Chicago Bear, and it was an incredible experience. I'm very fortunate to meet him. Nicest guy that I've met in the sports world in a long time, and just an amazing guy, amazing player.
I wish I could have sent over my orange or like a jersey for you to have him sign it, but that's a whole other issue. But I'm glad you and your husband Chris got a chance to meet him and experience that moment. We, like Lakina said, we saw that picture on the social media streets today, and we just want to say congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't sure that it was going to happen, that it was going to be a thing, because I have known that he's been coming into town for a couple of months now, but I never want to jinx anything until I'm standing in that position. It's like, okay, this is going to be a thing.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, let's go over to the WNBA. Go ahead, Lagina. Well, her phone's buzzing. So I'll take it over from here. Maybe that's Jerry Reinsdorf calling. I don't know. But before we get to the shenanigans of the White Sox, Christine, let's talk about the WNBA. And of course, the play has been talked about up and down, sideways last week. Of course, the Chicago Sky lost to the Indiana Fever by 1 point last week. But the hard foul, the flagrant foul from Kennedy Carter of this guy to Caitlin Clark. Me personally, I thought Caitlin Clark flopped a little bit, but it was called a hard foul later by the WNBA the next day. Of course, everybody has an opinion about it. The way that the WNBA has been played, we don't like it. And what are your thoughts about Caitlin Clark? And people say that she needs to be protected, using air quotes here. What do you think about this whole situation right now? And many people who haven't watched the WNBA now starting to throw their 2 cents in. What do you think about this whole situation right now?
I think it's definitely interesting. I said it when that game was coming up last week that this is going to be one of the biggest games of the season that everyone's going to be watching, and that turned out to be true. It was another rematch between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and that's the kind of stuff I think as a WNBA fan, as a sports fan, and even if you're, within the WNBA organization, you want to see a rivalry like that. You want to see another Isaiah Thomas and Jordan, or, the Pistons, Bulls, Larry Bird, all that. You want to see those rivalries within other teams. And I think that's a good thing. When it comes to Caitlin Clark itself, I have nothing but respect for her, number one, just because she is one of the best to play the game of collegiate basketball. She has struggled a little bit to start off her WNBA career, just because it's like I mentioned to you last week during the show. Everybody knows who she is. Everybody knows how she plays. And her biggest challenge right now, like any other collegiate athlete that goes into the pros, is adjusting the way that she plays the game. I will say it was during one of the games with the Hawkeyes last season that it did look like when she was flopping a little bit. And that's with any NBA, WNBA player, when you want to put on a good show and give a little acting lesson to people. You know what I mean? That's normal to do. And I didn't see the whole game entirely, but I saw what happened. Honestly, it can go either way. Like I said, everybody knows who she is, so of course there's going to be a spotlight on her. Some of it could be jealousy, and some of it could just be, let's call it hazing into the WNBA. Let's call it what it is. Just someone who is getting introduced in the professional world. And you got to take into consideration, too, that even though the Hawkeyes didn't make it to the championship or they did make it into the championship, she didn't have any break in between the draft and then going straight to the WNBA. My thought is with her, especially with the Olympics coming up, she should probably take a break. She should probably, if she happens to get an offer from the Olympics committee to join Team USA, it's a great honor, but she's young. It's going to happen for her again, I'm assuming. I would hope that she would take this time just to kind of wind down and reflect on everything that's happened for her for the last couple of months. It's just kind of been a whirlwind, and I can only imagine what she's feeling right now with all that exhaustion and pressure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she does that. So, like I said, you got the Storm and the Aces tonight. That should be a fun one on Ion. Let's talk about the Sox and all the shenanigans going on. We won't go too far into it because, like I said, we don't want to make all of our skins crawl. But have you been watching White Sox baseball, or are you just waiting for the season to be over with, Christine?
I mean, the fact that you're blowing 2 leads with the Cubs that were losing, it's what are you going to do? I think everybody at this point is just expecting Grifol to kind of get the nice and easy out the door, get the axe, so to speak. It just depends on when. I know that in the past with Reinsdorf, he has not been a fan of letting go managers or head coaches in the middle of the season or during the All-Star break. So if anything, he's gonna ride this out and see what happens in the end. But I think it's pretty fair to say that even the team doesn't want to play for him right now. There's something going on in the locker room that you and I don't see. But I think that's reflecting on the field and how they're playing too.
Yeah, I've been reading little nuggets here and there over the last couple of days that there's some veteran players on that Sox team that don't like playing for Pedro Grifol. Like I told Lakina in the last hour, Christine, it's not in Reinsdorf's style to make managerial changes during the season. But remember, last year he made front office changes after the trade deadline last August, getting rid of Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams. But as I'll pose the question to Lakina, I'll pose it to you, Christine. You can probably kind of answered my question, but if we all know that Pedro Grifol is not going to be here when his team finally turns it around and gets competitive, hopefully sooner rather than later. But can you give me a reason right now that why Pedro Grifol should stay?
I guess there's kind of in my mind, there's like a 2-part answer to that. I think one part of it is he's been dealt a tough hand when it comes to players. They're pretty much either guys that are coming up from the farm system or guys that have injury history and whatnot. So I think that's part of it, that he's just kind of been dealt with an interesting assortment of players when he started out. I also think that comes with just the growing pains of becoming a manager and running a team and just getting used to, I know he's done it before, but it's just getting used to a new system, a new way of management styles, a new city. It could be a lot. So I think it's a part of growing pains on his part too. And yeah, that seems to be my only reasons. Definitely with the players that he has is not really helping the situation either.
You wonder it's only going to get worse though as the season goes. I'm like, got about 8 more weeks for the All-Star break. Yay, that should be something like that. So that we're only going to get worse from here. This is Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, our girl KXRB's Christine Manika joining us now. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. You were able to check out some of Game 1, and do you think the Mavs can bounce back in Game 2?
Yeah, I know that was a tough game. Even Kyrie, he had a rough night too, being 6 out of 24 from the field, I think I saw. And I still think, here's the deal, and this is what we talked about today too. There was so much time between the semifinals to the finals of the NBA, right? So a lot of teams, maybe a couple of the guys took a couple of days off, maybe somewhere in the gym. I don't know what a schedule is like for them, but it was enough time for the Mavs to fall down a couple of pegs, I'll say. But now they have, an idea of who they're facing, kind of their playing style, and go back and draw up a game plan for it before the next one. I still think it's going to be a great series despite the score last night. And I'm still hoping that Dallas comes up on top in the end.
So that's your prediction for the series? Dallas will take it?
Oh, yeah, that's what I said last week. I said Dallas in 7.
Okay. Yeah, I missed it. My apologies. My brain is driving me crazy today, so I apologize. Let's go to the NFL. The Chicago Bears wrapped up minicamp yesterday. It was the rookies and the veterans mixing it up in pads and shorts and helmets. Caleb Williams struggling here and there, but he still made a good impression on his fellow teammates and the coaching staff. Some fans around these parts saying that Caleb Williams, quote unquote, our savior, he's struggling. It's a problem. Me and Lakina have been saying this is OTAs. This isn't training camp. He's a rookie. He's going to go through certain things. This is a learning process for him. What did you think about his performance coming out of OTAs this week? Are we overreacting, or this kind of much, as me and Lakina said, what we expect from a rookie coming to the league?
It's very similar to what I said about Caitlin Clark. You just got to deal with the growing pains, go with the flow, adjust. Again, new city, new organization, new coaching style. So it's a lot to absorb for a rookie number 1 draft pick quarterback for sure. And I liked how when we had the conversation with Brian Urlacher last night, he took some fan questions, and one of the questions were, now that you have your quarterback, how do you think the team's going to go on in this coming season? And I loved his answer. He said, first of all, we drafted a quarterback. He's not the quarterback. We drafted a quarterback. And he said it that way because he says, if you look at our track records for quarterbacks, no matter if they're the number 1 pick or the 37th pick, whatever the case is, it's still a long history of Bears quarterbacks just not fitting and not working right. So I liked how he said we drafted a quarterback. He says that he has a lot of hope in Williams and that he hopes that he succeeds from what he's been hearing about and what he's been seeing. But he basically said just give the kid some time, and I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And Well, you'll get our first look at Caleb Williams because the NFL released their preseason schedule for all 32 teams. Of course, the Bears and the Texans will each play an extra game because they play the Hall of Fame game on August 1st. So it's going to be interesting to see, of course, with Hard Knocks. And now you got the Hall of Fame game. So it's going to be interesting to see how kind of the Bears respond to all this. So it should be fun. Now you guys can check out the scheduling for your favorite team, if it's not the Bears, on various social media sites. Tom Pelissero has it on his for NFL Network. Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, or you can go to your team's websites, check out the scheduling for both training camp and for other preseason games. So it's all right there.
Before we move on, Lakina, shout out to our good friend of the show. We definitely got to get it back on, hopefully before the Hall of Fame game. Jared Payton, of course, the son of the late great Walter Payton in sports anchor at WGN TV into Chicago. He's going to induct Steve McMichael into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in August. So we want to shout him out there. Congratulations to him. He did it for his late father back in 1993. He's going to do it again with Steve McMichael in August. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I think he's making history. I think that not only was he the youngest to do it for his dad, he's going to be the first to do it twice. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, we gotta try to get him back on before we got about a few weeks before before the Hall of Fame weekend and all that's good stuff. So we gotta try to get him on. But I'm happy for him. He really deserves this opportunity.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Mongo too, Brian Urlacher talked a lot about him last night because we were talking about the Hall of Famers. You got Hester. He considers Julius Pepper a Bear. He doesn't think he's going in as a Bear, but he still considers him one. And then you got Mongo too. He's very excited for Mongo. He thinks that it's a little overdue, long overdue in his opinion. And he says, quote, he's pretty pissed off. Again, I'm quoting that the world and just football fans in general are going to be robbed from his speech just because of his health issues that he's going through right now. But he's very happy for Mongo. He can't wait to support him during that induction, and he's been supporting him a lot in recent years, and that made a lot of Bears fans in the crowd happy to hear that for sure.
Yeah, I hate they were not going to get that natural wit of Steve. You know, he would have had jokes all over Mongo.
Yeah.
Mongo would have had jokes all over up the wazoo, and probably some swear words as well. So,
what were some of the other questions and answers that fans had for Mr. Urlacher last night?
I think this one is funny. I have to laugh about this one. So one of the fan questions, it was very specific. The year 2009, week 16 against the Minnesota Vikings, it was 13 below. And one of the fans asked Brian Urlacher, was that probably the coldest game in your career? And again, he played it off really well because his answer was, well, I was technically out all season in 2009 because he had that wrist injury. So he had a good little laugh about a good chuckle with it. He talked about the prospect of the new Bears Stadium, and my husband was telling me I was like a sassy woman in church just clapping in agreement because he mentioned he mentioned that he is not a fan of the idea of the dome. And it's the same reason that I said it's because it's not Chicago sports. And he says, I realize you want to bring in, the Super Bowl, other championships and all that. But without the dome, it's still Chicago in February. Nobody wants to be in Chicago in February. And he said that for anyone who hasn't been there or isn't from the Chicagoland area. So I thought that was an interesting take on that. He says that he respects the organization a lot. He loves the organization. He appreciates the Chicago Bears and the fan base so much. He also I thought that it was funny that he complimented me on my nail polish color, which you wouldn't expect for him to do. But I guess it just shows that he's a dad. He's got daughters and that. So I thought that was a little funny. He's like, by the way, nice nail color. And I'm like, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. But again, just a nice guy. He was willing to answer a whole bunch of questions, including including the stuff about the stadium, about Caleb Williams, the upcoming season. He still is mad that Tom Brady dodged him a couple of times, and I know he wants to get Brady back for that, just to go after him. And yeah, it's just exciting to see his involvement with the organization to an extent, and just being a great ambassador for the NFL and for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to see him in a few weeks over in Canton for the Hall of Fame game. So you talked about this with Terrence earlier. I know we talked about it in our the three of us talked about it in our group chat earlier this week once the news came out about the new CHSN. It's going to be hard saying that, but I'm sure they're going to change the name. I'm sure down the line, but they are going to try to get it available over the air and through traditional television, and of course with cable and streaming. So like we've been saying, I mean, when this came about, people need options. So I think that'd be pretty cool if we get to see maybe WGN, maybe our friends there could do the pre and post for the Bulls or for a couple of games that air there, or maybe like Terrence said, just a few minutes ago, maybe have them back on WCIU. I mean, that would be pretty cool. So what did you get this, Chrissy? I'll start with you. What do you think about that prospect that the CHSN try to get available to as many homes as possible?
That sounds like a degree at some university.
Right.
That whole title. I think it's a good opportunity, though, for the fans to have access to this new network. It's one less bill, essentially, I think, to pay, one less giant bill to pay when it comes to streaming services and networks and whatnot. So I think it's a good opportunity for the fans. And I think that's what they made this network for the fans. That might as well be the new name for it, for the fans.
Short and simple and to the point. As we talked about earlier, me and Lakina talked about earlier, streaming is going to be a part of this because that's how many fans are watching sports now. That's not going to go away. But if you put it on traditional cable, will your cable bill goes up if they put it in a different tier, if you know what I mean. I know most networks, I'm just throwing the price out there, charge $2.99, $3.99 a month for for you to watch the channels, whether you watch them or not. But if this new network with Reinsdorf, if they charge $4.99, $5.99, I'm just throwing prices out there. You know that your cable bill is going to go up, unfortunately. But I kind of like what I think that article by Jeff Agres of the Sun-Times said, and I know the Yankees have some games on the Prime on Amazon Prime for those in the tri-state area, but they still have a couple of games on WPIX in New York. That's New York's version of Channel 9 here in Chicago. I know the Mets have a few games a year on PIX on Sundays in New York as well. So I think if you could do that, not put most of the games, which it will be great, but let's be realistic here. If you put some games on WGN or WCIU to promote fans to get this new Chicago sports network, I think that'll be pretty awesome, enticing viewers to perhaps get this new network. What are your thoughts, Christine?
I mean, yeah, it could entice viewers, I think. And we talked about this last year too, where I know my situation is different from other people that can't afford streaming services. So I think it's a good option for people, whether, depending on the cost, cable is going to go up either way. What's another thing to add on there?
Well, with all the rising costs of some of those streaming services, that even you might as well stick with cable at this point. So we'll see what happens. So one of the big changes that the Blackhawks have already made, and I want to pay off this tease, was Chris Foster is out as a TV play-by-play guy. Rick Ball, who's been calling hockey games for almost a quarter century. I mean, the last decade he's been doing Calgary Flames games. He's done Hockey Night in Canada for many years, so he does have the experience. And I think about our other friend, I keep getting Jason. I keep forgetting his last name, Sid. Because it feels like, I know he was up for the job as well, along with Chris, and of course Chris got the job.
Oh, Jason Ross, yeah.
Jason Ross, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And
we definitely got to get him back on the show.
Yeah, and I keep thinking that he probably would have had the same fate. It kind of feels like they want to do a more traditional hockey broadcast, of course, with this new network, CHSN. It's going to be weird saying that, but they got a guy in Rick Ball who does have a lot of the experience in calling hockey games, so I guess it's what they wanted. I know Jamie Faulkner said it that they want a kind of a little more seasoned hockey guy. So, Sid, I know you. Cause I told you guys about the article last night. I'll start with you, Sid. What do you think about this news?
I didn't have much opinion about the new guy. I heard some of the stuff. Someone tweeted it out. I forgot who it was. Someone tweeted out some of his the calls that he had over the last few years with the Calgary Flames. He sounds fine, but we have no choice. Like we said, we're about John Shriven of the White Sox. We'll get to in a sec. But you have no choice but to give him a chance. Me personally, I liked Chris Vosters because he brought the energy. He brought the passion because, Connor Bedard helps out a lot. But even though the Hawks were struggling, he brought the enthusiasm to the broadcast with Darren Payne this past season. He did that over the last couple of years. But, these organizations, they want their announcers, their TV crews to have a particular sound, to have a particular style. And that's unfortunately that's what he got caught up under. But I thought he did a terrific job. But they want somebody with experience, with the hockey knowledge, and the way these broadcasters, these owners are want their broadcast to sound. And that's what's happening here.
Christine, what do you think?
I think I'm with Sid on this. I really don't have an opinion. I didn't really watch as many Hawks game normally this past season, so that's just life in media. I feel like there's always going to be changes. There's always going to be something happening. So let's just hope the next guy is good too. That's all I can really say about it.
Well, yeah, and we're still going to try to get Chris on. I mean, I think just because he's not no longer, because I'm sure, look, you're probably going to see him during the Olympics over the summer. He's got stuff going on with the Big Ten Network. He does stuff with stadiums, so I'm sure he's probably going to be doing some stuff there. So he's going to be fine. So I'm not too worried about him. But like you said, Sid, I mean, they wanted a more traditional hockey broadcast, and I get it. But I guess we were one of the only people that actually liked, Chris doing the Blackhawks telecast. So I guess I'll just leave it there.
Yeah. And speaking of the new network, I think we kind of talked about this last week, but if we did, I digress about bringing it up again. It looks like we may see many folks that were working at NBC Sports Chicago over the last few years join this new network. Christine, I'll start with you as far as the White Sox coverage is concerned. I know you would like to see Ozzy over there at the new network, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like Chuck. I like Scotty Pods when he's on there. I think Gordon Beckham's been a guest on there a couple of times too. So I mean, I kind of predicted that would be the case, that they would they're the experts. They've been with them the longest. I figured that they would just transition them over there, but I just didn't know how that would work.
Yeah, same thing. I think Stacey King, who does, of course, the stuff for the Bulls, he kind of confirmed that he's still going to be with the Bulls. I'm assuming Adam Amin is going to still be there as well doing the play-by-play. So I guess that group's going to stay the same. Will they have like more courtside reporters, because that's something that they didn't have the last few years with NBC Sports Chicago? So could we see maybe a Ruthie Polinsky doing some Bulls sideline reporting? Maybe some other people. Maybe Pat Boyle does some rinkside interviews. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So they got a lot. They don't have that much time between now and October. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing more and more stuff coming out over the summer.
Yeah, in the preseason games, at least for the Blackhawks, will be in September. So will it be on that new network? Will it be on it over the air channel until that network debuts in October? We shall see. I know we ran it up against it, but speaking of the NBA Finals last night, I want to get Christine's thoughts on this. Doris Burke, who's been at ESPN, seems like forever, but she's finally getting her shot this year at the #1 table with Mike Breen, and of course now with JJ Redick. She became the first female broadcaster in the United States to broadcast a professional championship event. So we like to say congratulations to Doris Burke. She's been at it for a long time. She definitely deserves it. Christine, your thoughts?
About damn time.
Yeah, same. I mean, she's earned the opportunity. Well, yeah, she's right, though. I mean, she's earned the opportunity. So, yeah, good for her. And look, we'll see what happens if JJ Redick leaves the booth to go to coach the Lakers.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions, comments before we disperse?
Just want to give a quick shout out to the Oklahoma softball team. They become the first team to go back to back to back to back, winning 4 straight, once again beating Texas, sweeping them in that championship final series. Patty Gasol, who now has become the first coach to win 4 straight softball championships. They have a machine down there at Norman, and it's probably only going to get better too. I mean, Kelly Maxwell and the rest of that senior group, they were there all for most of those, maybe if not all 4, maybe at least 3 of those years. So just want to give them a shout out. Just amazing what they've been doing the last decade. Coach Gasol's been doing amazing things the last decade at the Oklahoma squad.
Yeah, shouts out to them. Oh, Lakina, before we go, we got to give our predictions for the Stanley Cup Final in hockey. It starts tomorrow night between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, the Canadian team. I'll start. I'll go in the shocker here. I have Florida in 7.
I have Oilers in 7.
Christine?
I'll say Oilers in 5.
All right.
Okay. Stir things up. We love it.
It's Florida.
Well, speaking of former Oilers, of course, shout out to Mark Messier, who got a new multi-year extension to stay with ESPN doing their hockey coverage. So congrats to him.
Yep, congrats to the captain, Mark Messier. Any other thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns before we disperse for this nice weekend, at least around these parts of Chicago? Any last minute thoughts, Christine? Going once, going twice?
Think we're good.
All right.
Have fun at the Sox game, Sid. That'll be fun over the weekend.
That
ought to be fun.
Maybe the losers are going in while I'm there. Maybe that's the one. I'll put it out there in the universe.
Maybe they're a good luck charm, I guess. With that said, you follow Makina McGee on the Twitter X, Akina Score again, the IG.
You can follow yours Shirley Sydney Brown on the Twitter X and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
They can follow me at @Manika_KXRB.
And you still have that bird, correct?
Oh, yes.
She's not letting go of that bird, folks. Of course, you can catch Second City Sports every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. One more time, as young kids would say, you can catch Second City Sports every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago, Facebook, YouTube channels.
And don't forget, you can download that Sports Zone Chicago app. Don't forget to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We're on all podcast platforms, including that iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. So Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We'd like to thank Terence Tomlin from It's the Bigs Media. You can follow him on all social media platforms. And of course, the lovely and talented, all Hall of Fame, Miss Christine the Queen Manika. You know where to follow her.
And of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago, the replays of our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more on Roku TV. We got the Roku TV app wherever you get your apps. Just type in Sports Zone Chicago. We got all great stuff coming up. Hope we may have some new content coming up. Gotta stay right there. But you can catch Sports Zone Chicago. Check us out anytime, anywhere on Roku TV.
And you know we will provide.
So enjoy the NBA Finals coming up on Sunday. You got the Stanley Cup Final starting tomorrow, finally. Also, you got the baseball, college baseball, Super Regionals going on right now as we speak all weekend long. So check that out as well on ESPN's various networks. And I think we got covered everything. Also got some golf coming up as well this weekend, the French Open as well, concluding Roland Garros. We'll talk about that on Monday. So for Sid and Christine, stay cool, warm, wherever you guys at, and just stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. I'm Lakia. This is Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago, and we'll see you guys Monday.